Hi, hello. I'm feeling super fucking manic from this eclipse portal. We'll see if we're going to keep this video, but I wanted to get into the astrology incoming for April because, much like March, it's kind of jaw dropping. It's kind of jaw dropping. And this time, I feel a lot more like big collective things happening than I did for last month. Like March felt very personal, and it did feel very personal, if I'm being honest. Lots of like inner work. Anytime you have, Venus at play, that's one of the inner planets. We're talking about the self. We're talking specifically about relationships, self worth, comfort, and luxury. And the Venus retrograde continues her journey through the first half of April, and it literally is all eyes on her because she is that bitch. So I'm going to give you kind of just a general intuitive energetic check in about what's incoming for the month, and then I'm going to go day by day by day, looking at some of the bigger transits that you might just want to put into your calendar, things that you just might want to keep in mind as the energies move through the next 4 weeks or so. There's a lot going on with the North Node in Pisces, the North Node being a point in the sky that has a lot to do with our fate, a lot to do with destiny. I am personally one of those readers that doesn't think a whole lot is destined. I think free will is one of the biggest rules that we engage with in this reality. But every so often, there are those moments in history that one way or another, this lesson is going to be learned. One way or another, that tower is going to fucking fall so we can see deeper into our own consciousness, into reality, and come to grips with what actually is. There's a lot going on with Saturn in the last degrees of Pisces. There's a lot going on with this full moon coming up in the middle of the month. There's just a lot going on, period. There's lots of Piscean activity in the later degrees of Pisces, which is going to continue to facilitate this energy of disillusionment, but also idealism. Dreaming. I think one of the most important things I can tell anybody between now and the end of April is to keep a dream journal. Pay attention to what is showing up in the dream space. Pay attention to themes. Pay attention to the people that are showing up. Pay attention to the sensations, and just note it. Just observe. Okay. I think one of the biggest themes that we're going to see for the month of April, and I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm not saying this to make you on edge. It's more just to kind of like, if you see this and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely on brand. Because of everything going on with Venus, her meetings with the North Node, her communication with Uranus, her communication with Saturn, we're going to see a lot of restructuring around relationships. And yes, this could look like big fucking breakups. A lot of you guys might already be experiencing this energy, especially since Mercury joined Venus in her retrograde. But what I'm hearing in the channel is that a lot of you guys are going to be looking at outdated software when it comes to your belief systems around specifically romantic love. Business relationships, though, do play a part in this. If you have been resistant to healing wounds around codependency, that codependency in April is absolutely going to bite you in the ass. That's not a threat, it's a promise, because there are several come to Jesus moments in April where the fog of the Neptunian shit that was going on in Pisces has lifted because Neptune will now be in Aries, and you're going to see the writing on the wall in inescapable ways. This is meant to help you. This is actually meant to help you grow, to put you on a higher timeline, so to speak. But there are some potentials for some pretty explosive and painful endings if you don't get ahead of it. So that's why I wanted to get this out a couple of days early, a couple of weeks early before all this actually starts to go down. It's looking at relationships through the lens of what do I actually want, not what have I been conditioned to want. There's a lot of the rise of the feminine. There's a lot of sort of pushing up against patriarchal narratives. And this is true no matter what gender you are. This is true no matter what kind of relationship dynamic you have. I am looking mostly at romantic relationships with this energy, but this could also be true, like I mentioned, in your business relationships and your relationships with your family. There's a lot of sink or swim energy when it comes to relationships in April. And again, it's meant to help you. It's meant to leave you feeling more empowered and happy with your choices than not. But a lot of you guys, because of this delusional energy with everyone and their mother having a orgy in Pisces right now, there's a lot of delulu. I can't. We can make this work. We can make this work. We can make this work. A lot of twin flame bullshit going on here. So with that being said, we're going to go day to day, kind of looking at how this energy is going to show up. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a couple of like very loose predictions about what we might see kind of more globally. I dabble with that stuff very, very carefully because so many people have made these giant, huge, announcements with their predictions only to have that like kind of like really not show up the way they were expecting. Anywho. On the 3rd, we're starting right at the beginning of the month. We have Venus retrograde in Pisces conjuncting the North Node in Pisces. This is a big deal. Like anytime anything syncs up with the North Node, we're looking at fated experiences, like inescapable moments, which is going to be intense coming off of the eclipse that we had a couple of days before. We are having our full moon solar eclipse in Libra tomorrow, which is also kind of like a fated thing because the North Node and South Node are involved. But with this Venus conjunct the North Node, we're looking at synchronicity and serendipity around the people that you're meeting in your life. Because this is a retrograde, you might get into like a very, very heady mindset around how relationships up until this point have shaped you, how the people that you've had in your life up until this point have made you the person that you are now. And there's going to be a big, heavy thing of review. Like it's giving my wedding day is coming up. Is this actually the person I want to marry? And your answer might be yes. Your answer might end up being yes. It might end up not being yes, because this is one of several kind of like come to Jesus moments that I'm seeing in the month of April. On the 4th, Mars in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces will be forming a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. And Mars in Cancer will be trining Saturn in Pisces as well. So this is actually really lovely energy. Like say you are having these kind of like come to Jesus moments and you're thinking about how you want to engage with your maybe potentially newfound sense of emotional radical honesty. This is great energy to do that. With Uranus being involved, there's also the chance for things to kind of like break free from stagnation, innovation to kind of come through the channel, sudden, again, serendipitous encounters. Like there's, I know I'm talking kind of like a little bit ominously about relationships in April. Some of you guys, though, might end up meeting the person of your fucking dreams around this time as well. And you might not know it's them until you've sort of rode this out a little bit until Venus stations direct. But some of you guys are going to meet people that are going to completely change your life in the beginning of this month. And I think that's really cool. On the 6th, Venus will be trining Mars in Cancer. The Sun in Aries will be sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. What I'm getting intuitively from this aspect is ease in having what might be a difficult conversation, heavy subject matter. Say there's been something you've wanted to get off your chest. You are that person who's like, is this actually the person I want to marry? This is a great day, I think, for talking it out, for having somebody listen to you. There's ease in relationships. There's ease in some of this energy, especially around conversations around safety, how you want to kind of feel established within relationships, established within your business practice. On the 7th, the next day, Venus retrograde in Pisces will be conjunct Saturn in Pisces, and Mercury will station direct in Pisces, also conjuncting Saturn. This is the second of several come to Jesus moments in April. This is a reality check. This is a great day to get your shit together, whether you're in a romantic relationship or not. This is kind of like, say you're this person that I'm making up, where you're like, I have this wedding coming up and I'm really not so sure. I'm having doubts. I'm having questions. The 7th, this day might be the day where you actually are like, okay, now I know. Now I know for sure. It is giving a little bit of tower energy. It's giving a little bit of like, like if you were in Delulu land with all of the Neptunian, yumminess at the end of March, if you were feeling this twin flame shit, this is where you're like, oh my God, like, oh, this is writing on the wall energy. This is also potentially unexpected news that's going to completely like snap you out of it if you feel like you have not been grounded. Again, great day to get your shit together on the 7th. On the 8th, Venus will be sextiling Uranus. Mars in Cancer will be trining the North Node in Pisces. This feels big on a collective level to me. Honestly, the 7th does too, because when I say that there might be news that ends up kind of like shaking us out of a stupor or back into reality, this could be felt very strongly on the collective world stage. I'm not going to give you any names or things that I think might happen, but I've been kind of actively telling people not to watch the news and not to listen to the news because it's been so disruptive on everyone's nervous system. Around this time, just keep an eye on the headlines, head on a swivel. There could be some big things going on around the beginning of the month where I feel like, especially anybody who's in any kind of denial about anything, whether it's in like a personal way or collective way, there's something that happens around here that's like, okay, we can't ignore this anymore. This has to be dealt with in some way, shape, or form. Okay. On the 12th, the sun in Aries will conjunct Chiron in Aries. And this is especially if it's, if there is any big news around this time, this is where shit gets really real. And I feel like the 7th to 8th, there might be something kind of shocking or unexpected that happens. And the 12th is where we sort of start to feel the consequences of whatever this really is. Like something really sinks in. The 12th is a really, really good day to be brave. It's a really good day to show up if you are somebody who is a little bit more socially justice oriented. If you're somebody who's really big on community, this looks like a day of action. This looks like a day of collaboration, and a day where people are really stepping forward and putting their foot down about what is and isn't okay. And again, this could show up very deeply personally, especially if you guys have a lot of relationship shit going on right now. But I'm feeling this energy in a big way globally. There could also be something that happens that's not like a man-made situation. I'm looking at weather. I'm looking at potential things that are happening regarding the earth, and things getting shaken up, or us realizing certain things that were kind of like hidden. I think this full moon eclipse in Libra is going to uncover a lot of this. Like this is again going to be kind of riding the wave of that eclipse. On the 13th, speaking of a full moon, we have a full moon in Libra. And that will be squaring Mars in Cancer. There's going to be tension around feelings of safety and home. On the 14th, Saturn will conjunct the North Node in Pisces. This is the third, I think, third or fourth. I can't keep track. Come to Jesus moment of April. This is huge. This is big around understanding the consequences of our actions. Long term too. So on a personal note, this could look like a health scare. Say you're somebody who's been meaning to, drink more water and, eat a little bit healthier, move your body a little bit more, and you just haven't gotten there. I feel like around this time between the beginning and the middle of April, you might get a health scare that like snaps you out of it. And like, okay, I don't really have a choice anymore. Like I have to show some amount of discipline around X, Y, and Z in order to be on the timeline I prefer. This is not discipline. I don't mean punishment when I say discipline. This just means like getting our shit together. Like if you want something, if you're trying to manifest health, money, ease in relationships, the 14th is where you recognize just exactly how your choices impact those things. It's like with manifestation, yes, we're leaving a lot up to spirit and reality to kind of like provide, but there are actions that we also need to take to get us towards our goals. The 14th is where you recognize what those actions are or could be. On the world stage, I feel like the beginning to middle of April worldwide is going to be very like, oh, that's what's happened. This is really happening. This is really happening, and there are actual consequences that we can't ignore. I'm just going to leave it there, okay? On the 16th, Mercury moves into Aries. So if we've been holding back speaking about everything that's happened up to this point, I think there's going to be a lot of chatter, a lot of people with opinions, a lot of people who are. It feels supportive though, like it feels very like motivational energy kind of coming through. communication wise. On the 18th, that continues with Mars finally moving into Leo and out of Cancer. Mars does not like being in Cancer. Mars feels fidgety, uncomfortable, passive aggressive in Cancer. Mars is fire. Mars likes to have, be able to expand. And Cancer is a very homey, contained sign. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like being held back. So Mars moving back into Leo feels very liberating. I feel like a lot of us are going to take a very deep breath, and a lot of us are going to be coming into our bodies in a way that doesn't feel like, I don't know. I feel like something kind of like opening through here for a lot of us, if that makes any sense. On the 19th, Taurus season begins, and we will have a Mars in Leo trining Neptune in Aries. This feels like new chapter energy in like a really particular way, because I think this is one of the first big aspects we have to Neptune now that it's in Aries. And Mars and Neptune together is inspired action. It's like, if you have an idea that feels like idealistic and wonderful and artistic, Mars is gonna be like, let's fucking go. Great day for auditioning for some of you guys who are performers, or trying to get a record deal, trying to be seen for your creativity. Fucking great day on the 19th. Between the 19th and the 20th, I would say go for it. Like fucking go for it. On the 20th, we will have Venus still conjuncting the North Node, sextiling Uranus. This feels like, I don't know. Again, just pay attention to who you're meeting. If you are in the previous category people I just described, like you're moving in for an audition, I'm also hearing maybe apply for housing if you're trying to buy a house. If you're applying for a job, do that around the 19th and the 20th, and just see what happens. We didn't talk about Venus stationing direct in Pisces. I knew I forgot something. Just to backpedal a little bit. By the 12th, I was going on and on and on about the Sun conjuncting Chiron in Aries. That's the same day that Venus stations direct in Pisces. So from the 12th on, any aspect regarding Venus will have her moving forward, okay, out of her retrograde period. On the 25th, Venus is going to conjunct Saturn at 27 degrees of Pisces. Fourth come to Jesus moment here. It's putting your money where your mouth is. Like, say you had to set some like solid boundaries at the beginning of the month with whatever relationship shit you had going on. I feel like the 25th is going to be a little bit of a test of that, and seeing if you can maintain those boundaries and that discipline. On the 27th, we have a new moon in Taurus, and Mars will be opposing Pluto for the last time, I think, for a while. This is another one of those collective energies that I'm a little like about. I'm going to save what I think is going to happen for my patrons. If you guys want to subscribe to my Patreon to get that, I'll probably be going into that in the live stream tomorrow, which is Saturday the 29th, about what I think is going to go on there. I need to sit with it a little bit longer. But this is one of a couple of aspects in April that have me going, like history changing kind of shit, you know? And then the 30th, Venus enters Aries. She'll be out of Pisces, and we will have Black Moon Lilith squaring Pluto. That's another one that I'm just like, oh. I'm not going to say out loud right now what I think it is. I'm going to pull a card for you guys. Anyone who's made it this far, just any bit of advice moving into April. If you guys want, again, to get more in depth with this, check out the link in my bio. Check out the Patreon. I do 4 to 6 live streams on the Patreon every month. I'm a lot more candid, a little bit more personal with my patrons. I get into stuff that I would not talk about here or TikTok or anywhere else. I do a lot of channeling with some higher dimensional beings. I can often give a lot of insight about these incoming energies. They're really, really great. So the card I have for all of you guys, the return, all this retrograde energy, right? Own your mastery. I think April is going to be the month where you see how any reflection you've done, reviewing, revising, or editing with that Venus retrograde, with the Mercury retrograde, and even the Mars retrograde that started back in December, I think you're going to see how much you've grown. Some of you are going to have your foot put to the fire a little bit in order to see that, but that's in order to help you break down any resistance patterns around your own growth. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Hit that subscribe button if you would like more of these kinds of updates. I will be publishing personal readings based on what sign you have. I do like forecasting for Aries and all fire signs, all water signs, earth signs, and air signs. So stay tuned for that. Those should be coming out shortly, so you can get a little bit more of a personalized reading. All right, take care. Bye.